Hello, it is Westland here with TJX Andy and Jules.
Hey,
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our podcast.
podcast. Oh boy.
All right, well, it's technically not a podcast because there's video component as well.
It's a podcast.
It is a podcast. Come on.
We got some nice compliments from Deadshot, our biggest fan. All right, so this week is our second episode, and this is what the regular time for the show will be. And we'll be trying to bring a guest on regularly. And today it is our friend TGX Andy.
Hey, everyone. I'm Minion Masters expert.
The
I've played this
toxicity free
game for
stream.
months, and I know it really well. Believe everything I tell you. Thank you.
Um, I guess last episode, Jules and I talked a little bit about our credentials, but we're going to talk. I guess I'm going to introduce our guest a little bit more. TJX Andy is a streamer, and you can find him at twitch.tv/TJX Andy. It's the same as the name that's on the screen, but so it's pretty easy to find. He streams Minion Masters and also a variety streamer. And on top of that, he has you've casted tournaments in the past, correct?
I've casted the TGX Cup, 5 iterations of the TGX Cup, and I've also casted for one Prince Puff Cup, and that is my casting experience so
Mhm.
far.
And you've also competed in the KPC as well as the KPI, correct?
Yes, I competed for almost all of season 4 of KPC, and also, yeah, I managed to get into the KPI and
Which,
competed in that as well.
for the noobs out here, that's a good thing to make it into the KPI. It's the invitational tournament, so only the best of the best and Andy get in. All right, so the first thing we want to talk about is the news going around in Minion Masters. So the first thing is we got a blog post on Friday, and I think the thing that I'm looking forward to is another card contest voting.
It
So
looks really good.
yeah, so with the
There's
try,
two cards that we already seen before in other voting contests.
mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
then we got this new card Ghost Storm to vote for. What are your guys's what house are you going to support between Ghost Storm, which is House Valor, Triumph is Malshar, and then Taurus is House Glory.
I'm still
I'm
sticking with House Glory myself
yeah.
because Taurus, my boy, look at him go. Just look at that graphic. He's there. He's stampeding on through. He's got a mission and he's going to complete it. So that's the boy that I want to support. So House Glory it is for
Yeah.
me.
How about you, Jules?
Me too.
Yeah.
100% Tauras. I've voted for Tauras the other two times it
Okay.
was contests, and it has to win now. 100%.
Yeah. The last two times I supported Wheel of Doom and then Stormy, and it turns out both of those cards were mistakes. So uh,
Yeah.
I actually like Wheel of Doom. It's a cool card. It was not what I expected from the when I thought it when it was coming out. I thought it was going to be a minion,
Oh.
and that was what I was hoping for. But it's a pretty cool spell. But yeah, the Taurus is probably what I'm going to support as well. It's the most different of the cards as far as what's currently
Oh
in the
yeah.
game. Um, I probably won't ever support Malshar because it looks like it's an assassin of sorts, and I kind of get annoyed by the stealth cards.
Yeah. I'm curious Taurus. I'm curious what house or not house, but what
Faction.
what faction he's a part of.
I would almost yeah, because it doesn't fit into like the other two are pretty obvious. Like I think the ghost one would obviously be a curse, and the other one would be what's
Voidborn. I'm
Voidborn.
guessing Tauras would be Voidborn as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think
Although,
Voidborn is kind of the backup default evil.
yeah. I'm guessing House Valor has the upper hand, though, because Stormbringer is in the house, and we all know people love the Free Master.
Hmm. Newer players will probably open that one. Although with the It looks like they still have that visual where players are going to get confused and think they can vote 3 times for all of them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, the visual is still that I've had to answer a lot of people in the past and be like, "Hey, why can't I open up the super chest after getting all 3 keys?" And it's like, because there is none. It's you only get to open once.
Now, with Twitch drops working the way they work now, do you think that the diversity will be a bit more there with people picking other than just Stormbringer? Because they'll be watching their favorite streamers and getting their keys that way, more often than they already had been before with the previous drop system.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and
I would imagine we could see more diversity than just everyone picking House Valor this time.
I had not even considered that. With the new Twitch drop system, it makes it a whole lot easier to pick up keys.
Yeah.
I used to not enter, like when it was manually entered, but it was 200 gold. I wouldn't enter any of
Yeah, I
watching
wouldn't
ones.
do either.
It's too much
If
effort.
I was I wouldn't grab that key. I would just earn the keys on my own.
Yep. Yeah, and it really incentivized streamers at the time because they would get the bonus gold without having to enter the key. So that streaming was the fastest way to get gold for your account back in the day. Um,
I'm guessing people will pick the car they get the keys for first. They
Yeah.
won't wait for the one they like because they see there's a legendary card waiting as well.
Mhm.
So
I,
that is also going to help the decision.
yeah. Um, I'm interested what Ghost Storm is, but I'm not really wanting more spells right now. I don't know. I feel like we have a good selection that kind of cover most of their bases. It's kind of hard to think of like a new spell that would really cover something that's not just overlapping with another card.
I mean, I would be interested if it's something that actually gives a Cursed Ascension a purpose, because right now I feel like a Cursed Ascension is worthless right now. So maybe we see something come out of Ghost Storm that actually brings life to existing cards.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, the Toll looks like a really fun card, and I was really excited for its release, and then it just ended up not feeling that good to play.
yeah.
I definitely won games with it, but it's not. Usually, those were games I would have won if I had played something different, and probably would have won faster instead. All right, so they have their feature list officially posted for 1.3. So Conquest Season 4. So if you haven't finished up your guild conquest, my guild has not yet. So I'm hoping we get to this skin, but it's a small guild, so I don't know. Um, so we'll get to see a new skin come out that you can earn. The Tri-Team Tourney we just talked about. They're gonna add a conquest retry to this system. Um,
So I guess after you've lost your 3 matches or whatever, you can just reset yourself back to 0 and try again. Is that what it sounds like?
yeah, it was.
I'm guessing it will be to pay gold or something.
Yeah, well, because right now conquest wasn't that or yeah, it was. It's kind of frustrating if you were doing conquest and then you went like 4-2 and or 4-3, and it was just like, oh well, shit. I think conquest maybe needed a retry. I mean, Mayhem has one.
Yeah, I'm feeling they're gonna do it kind of like a mayhem entry cost.
Hmm.
So for people who really want to help their guild to get to a better spot and get more rewards at the end of the season, they're gonna have to pay gold to retry the conquest.
It almost encourages what's the popular way for maximizing points is having one person play a normal deck, have one person play all of the cards. And this just gives you extra shots at getting lucky matches where you're not playing against good players.
Yeah.
Um, I guess we have a set of balance changes coming up in 1.3, which none of those have been announced yet.
Yeah, we have no clue. Just in the dark on that one.
Yeah, I anticipate a nerf to Morelia, but I don't know what they're doing with that.
Hopefully, we'll see something adjusting the perks a little bit. Otherwise, I feel like it's going to be a good master.
Yeah, I don't dislike her as a whole, but it's kind of frustrating since I'm a Ratbo main, and to have her auto attack be the same attack tick rate as Ratbo for 1 damage
Yeah.
less, but two more range and a slow.
Yeah.
It destroys little minions completely.
Yeah, and unlike Rappo's, hers is also good against big stuff too because it keeps them from
Well,
getting to face.
that one damage less is a lot though.
Yeah,
Like it does take her noticeably longer to melt through larger minions than a Rappo takes to melt through them.
well,
But the slow is still there, like you said.
yeah, my thought process is on every fifth hit is when it makes a difference because with that one extra damage, most things have health of intervals of 5. So and like most damage is on intervals of 5. You usually won't make a difference until every fifth hit, which is pretty fast at that rate. But it's not. Morelia's auto attack is definitely better. Just that slow is so strong. And then we got a new thing. They're introducing a player reporting system into the game, and also adding in a bug reporting system into the game. So I
I want to before they even start implementing stuff like that. I want to know whatever happened with like the feedback system. Like, they've never put in any of these blog posts about like the results of the feedback system. I feel like they should be telling us.
Yeah.
Like I've left feedback through the feedback system before about how I felt unhappy about certain changes they've made, and as far as I know, my feedback just got thrown in the dump and nothing got done with it, and so that could end up being what they do with player reporting and bug reporting.
I think it makes it a more unified system. Player reporting was really bad system before. You had to email beta dwarf basically.
Yeah.
And even then, it's like how much evidence you could show the replay, but really, like, okay, it's banning players in this game versus like something like League of Legends, where the impact of a little bit of trolling in this game is like, oh no, I lost one game that took me 2 minutes, and I'll get those points back in the next game. I mean, it's still frustrating when a guy comes in with triple blood imps or triple call to arms and just like plays the noise to troll you. That can be frustrating. But
the fact that you had to send an email to report someone meant that you had to be really pissed to report someone.
Yeah.
Or you have to have like the will to getting him banned or something with a lot of evidence. But now it's going to be like, oh, someone trolled me a little bit, report it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be taken as seriously as it was when with the email reporting.
Yeah. So like, do we think that it's actually we're gonna see bans coming out left and right, or do we think it's not gonna change at all?
I hope it's
think
low impact.
Yes. Because when they announced it, they also shown like you can attach replays and tell it like whatever happened, and they will check it. I'm guessing it's just gonna have a smaller impact on if you're getting a ban or not, but I feel like it's still gonna get people banned.
I think using if they have banning with chat moderation, that would be really helpful for. I mean, chat moderators, it's already a lot of work. We always have to like manually do the bans. So if other people can report players, and if they get enough reports, have an automated system. I don't know. That's what I would like to see. Just like, I mean, obviously there's still a need for chat moderation, but it can.
I don't think they'll do a fully automated system. I don't think anyone really does just like a fully automated.
No, that's true.
Had success with it.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of work in chat moderation with this general chat. People can get a little unhinged at times.
I've seen, yeah.
And then the last part of this blog post is, I think, super relevant to all three of us. Is King Puff Cup Season 5 is we have the tournament next week.
Next week.
Yeah. I'm unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunate because actually I'm going to be going on a vacation next weekend. But I won't be able to be there for the tournament. And that will also tie into next week's show. I will not be there, but Jules will still be running it. So the show will go on just without me.
Sadly. Because we all know how much you enjoy casting and how much we enjoy having you as a caster.
Yeah.
Vacation is needed.
Yeah. Well, I got extra. Well, with 4th of July timing, it's the perfect time for vacation.
Yeah.
But I am sad to miss the first tournament of the season. And I do want to play in at least one of them because I have some pretty off meta stuff that I want to test out against the competitive scene. So, but I think it's the blog post. I think our first subject of discussion. Let me pull up our list of subjects. The first thing we're going to talk about is what makes an elite player. So a lot of times you have a lot of players that get to GM and then, but like in the general community, you're like, okay, sure, he's gotten to GM, but is he good at the game?
Yeah.
Like
The thing is, everyone uses the KPC or any tournament as an excuse of, okay, so you're not good enough because you haven't competed here and you haven't gotten a good result. Because we all know how easy it is to get GM, and people say it doesn't really mean anything nowadays to get GM.
Well,
So,
I mean, even being at the,
you think it's a good thing to have if you were an elite player?
I think you kind of can notice in the gameplay a lot of times and by what kind of deck somebody plays. So when you see someone like, okay, Florian is a great example of where he's bringing out Volko on the leaderboard. You know, you see this, like, he's the only person in the top, or he's one of the only people in the top 20 who's playing Volko. I think JF is the other one, and Quackens, so actually we got quite a few of them right now that I'm looking through it. But usually the people who are playing Volko in a non-Bloodums deck is kind of a really weird way to tell when somebody's good at the game, because he's such a high skill cap master, and he's not. You have to be good at the game to win with this master on ladder.
In general, if you're winning with anything that's not super easy to grab the win with, like, then that's a pretty good sign. You know, like there's just a lot of stuff that's clearly defined as this is what you play if you want an easy route to getting into Grandmaster, and then who knows what you're going to do once you're in Grandmaster because you can't drop from there. But if you can put together your own decks, if you've got creativity in your soul and you are bringing out your own stuff and winning with it, then that's where you're getting places in my mind.
I think the easiest one to point out when somebody was like getting to the top without being an elite was the Bats Azali decks that were going around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
like
everyone was playing the combo at least once or twice, and also running a few Shock Rocks. So you had no way to play any anti-air and kill the bats.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, go ahead.
Oh well, the other one is that there was also the triple archers deck back in the day. Was probably there was a few quintessential decks like Bats Azali and triple archers that basically when you saw somebody playing those, you're like, I don't know if they're good at the game. It's the deck's too mindless.
It's like, oh, one of these again. I feel like, using Florian's example, I feel like being an elite player it goes around being really good at deck building. Mm-hmm. Because, as you've said, having a Volko in the top 20 or in the top 10, you need to know how to play it, what cards to play with him, how to be ready for every single situation, because the Magma Cannon he's got in the deck, you would never think of that card in any of your decks, and even less in the Volko list. And it has a lot of thought behind it. Being able to kill the Empowered Soul Stealers everyone's running, or Harbingers, any other air cards, is a really, really good deck, and that's what I think goes as a priority of being an elite player, being really good in deck building.
I think it's more mechanics than deck building, actually. Deck building is extremely important. I think overall, though, the fact that he can play the deck that he built without it being an easy 1-2 combo, play card A then card B, he's got a deck that has actual diverse options, and while he's playing, he can actually pick out the most optimal options when he's got his decision in front of him and get his timing right and his placement right. That's what makes an elite player for me. It's the mechanics. It's being able to take a deck that's not even what am I even trying to say? Not even like a bread and butter like deck. Like there's diversity in it, but like he can work with it. He can work with whatever he's got.
You could play outside of like a defined meta and make it work.
Exactly. Being able to play around the meta or outside of the meta rather than playing within the meta. That's huge, I think.
I do want to say that some of these players who do play the Bats Azali are actually that good of players. Some of them really are good. When you take them off of that deck, they're still good. But you don't see as much of that. Like it's almost like I'd say there's a few players like Portex is a great example of someone who plays stuff that you see him play that and you're like, oh my god, this is cancer. But he's actually got the mechanics down. He used to play the triple Screaming Scrat Milloween deck, and how his pacing is with using the Screaming Scrats to deflect the amount of damage he needed, time it with its explosions. Like he was just super good at using this complex card and punishing you with it.
Yeah, that's again where I would say its mechanics is a little bit higher than deck building on the list of priorities for me because like the fact that he's able to get his timing and his placement right and everything, that's what I think it takes to be at the top. And it's simple in my mind. I mean, it takes time to get into it, but at the end of the day, you have 4 buttons in front of you, and you just have to decide at any given moment which of those 4 buttons is the most correct. And then from there, you figure out your timing and your placement. And if you can get all 3 of those elements to connect perfectly, then you will win your matches. And that's having that mechanical skill. It's simple, but once you've mastered it, you're up there, and you can play around with a wide variety of decks and still have success.
How do you tell with somebody like so? You see a player in GM who thinks they're good, and like at what point do you go, you know, you may be decent at the game and you've gotten to GM, but really you're missing these components. Like, what are the things that you would identify as like this is the stuff you're missing from keeping you being at the top?
It would just be if I played a match against them, if I just saw them making decisions I don't agree with. Like if I could watch the replay and see that in their hand they had I don't know a specific example of like a scenario I could give, but where they had cards A, B, and C in their hand, and they chose to play cards B and C in response to something when they could have played A and B in response to something, and I think that A and B is more correct. That's where I would say, okay, you didn't recognize the best option, and that's a weakness as a player you have. That's what it is for me. It's just I will see things that I think I've decided certainly are the most correct. You know, I could be wrong on things, obviously, but I will see players make decisions that are not the most correct they could have been, and they're making mistakes throughout games. And even if they're still winning, I think they're at that point their wins, you can see them being traced back to just having a strong enough deck to carry them.
I think one way I can identify a player being a little like not quite there is on how they'd play the bridge grab. So and that's probably the huge component is. One, some players don't play the bridge grab in their deck at all. Like they're just trying to brute force a win. But you know, you look at a lot of players on the top that are running Screaming Scrat, Scrap Pack, Illusory Cleaver, or the Bat. You know, one of the one costs that grabs the deck.
Yeah.
And you see them not using the bump mechanics or the push mechanics to grab the bridge. You see them not like when I see a player who knows both of the Screaming Scrat, Illusory Cleaver interactions. I'm usually like. They're at least pretty good at the game. You know, if they know like when the Screaming Scrat's on the bridge to play the Illusory Cleaver, so it swings while on the bridge, the Screaming Scrat runs past, or you know, like to when the Illusory Cleaver is about to cap to play the Screaming Scrat on your side, so the Illusory Cleaver screams and the Screaming Scrat runs past, and then you cap. Because both of those cards have an interesting interaction. If you're the second one to play, you get the bridge if you play it right. Or whenever I see a player who puts the Screaming Scrat behind another Screaming Scrat to get a bridge cap, I usually think they're at least pretty decent at the game because that's the hardest push to do in the game.
Actually, I don't think it's that hard. I think it's deceptively. It's actually deceptive. Like it's easier than it looks because like you'll see how the bridge captures just in the order of the explosion.
Yeah, that one's really confusing.
It's confusing, yeah.
I feel like
it's actually easier than it looks.
In order to tell when a player isn't good enough, it comes to the simple decisions. As you said, whenever it counts on bridge taking. If you don't wait long enough, if you just play your Scrat Pack when you could have gotten both bridges instead of one, or throw a spell, but instead of doing it instantly whenever you see a minion you can kill, just wait a bit to see if you can get more value out of it. Or in order to split your push correctly, so if your push in one lane dies, you can still get some damage in from the other lane. It all comes to little decisions that I would say they're simple because they know the game, but someone who is rather new or not so experienced would say, well, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
And I think you could see a lot of people who hit GM in twos. You know, this is their first time hitting GM, and not to knock that, it's really fun to get to that tier and hit GM in twos. But you can see, like, you'll be playing with a player, and you're, like, looking at their deck, or you're like, this just seems a little bit off. Like, they're missing some key anti-air in their deck. Like, they didn't put any, like, great anti-air targets. Like, they never thought about that. Or they build a deck and they're like, okay, you put a lot of good ranged units in here on Stormbringer, but you forgot to put in a key tank. Like, you have no way to protect these units now. Like when you see a deck that just leaves in a huge vulnerability where if you run into this specific card, your entire game is lost. I see that a lot when people suggest or are like, how do I improve this deck? And I look at it and like, well, 1, you have 0 bridge cap in your deck. 2, you forgot to put like a key component of this deck to make it work and achieve your goal. Or like you like have no way to win in this game as you don't have a clear win condition.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like whenever it comes to knowing when a player is good or not good enough, in my opinion, it's on the little decisions. But of course, there's a lot of different things to take into consideration. If you are playing correctly to get your perks, or if you're using the correct master, if you could be using any other style to play.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it for sure. It's not like an easy 1 or 2. This person's good or not good because of this, but you do when you do notice. Yeah, when you do notice the missing opportunities on stuff, that's where I think it's pretty easy to say, oh, this guy's not right. He's not quite at the top. He's not at the top yet, but people can learn, right?
What do you think is the best way to learn to get to that next tier? Like where would you say
competing in tournaments?
Competing in tournaments?
That's what it was for me, anyways. Like competing and also watching tournaments, also watching streams as well. If there's any high, like high elo or whatever streamers you can watch, and also being able to recognize when the streamer's making mistakes too. You need to be able to recognize that. Hopefully you're watching a streamer who's honest and will also point out their own mistakes, and you can learn from that too. But yeah, watching KPC and participating in KPC. If you're like me, like my first KPC ever, I played like the 3 players I played in my first KPC. Well, not the only 3, but I played 3 players who had gotten top 8 in the previous KPC in my very first KPC that I played in. And I was like, well, this is bullshit. I just got slammed because I got played against the top brass. But I was able to learn a lot from that KPC, and then just watching the rest of it after I got eliminated, watching like the top 8, you can pick apart a lot of, okay, this is the correct decisions that he's making that I need to learn to adapt into my own play.
Well, and what's kind of interesting is there's almost another tier of elite between just the people who would be in generally considered elite players, and I'm talking about Cat basically at this point. When you look at players who are really good at the game, like Dirian and Gamer, those are some of the cream of the crop players. But then there's just that extra level of Cat, and I think at times Mephisto is up there, and I think there's other players that can get there. But it's really like Cat and Mephisto at their top tier, and sometimes JF is that good as well. And Dirian can be, but Cat just feels like miles ahead at times when you look at the tournament play.
It's those type of players where you're just not expecting them to do a good play. You're expecting them to not do a bad play. You're counting the misplays instead of counting the good plays.
Oh yeah.
It was like with Cat, how often does he mechanically screw up? I mean, you feel like when you play against him, you feel like you're just getting drowned out because he always has the bridges.
Yeah. Even in favorable matchups, it just feels like he is coming back and he's just winning the game. It's incredible.
Um, and yeah, because there was matches where like, other than there are decks that are so strong that it doesn't matter how good you are. I mean, especially when we've seen the Mordor in competitive, which is now drawing permabans right now, or did in the last KPI. It was basically permabanned across players. Was that those Mordor decks? Even Cat was struggled against those. And the other deck that I've seen Cat lose to was a sniper deck in Ratbo. It's usually those really interesting off-meta decks um, that will make a difference.
There's someone in chat asking if you would recommend not playing wildcards to get better at the game.
I don't think it depends on what you're using the wild cards on. It's actually really the difference.
If you're talking about in terms of like improving your mechanics, I mean, you can still improve your mechanics while having wild cards in your deck. You know?
But if you are using wild cards to probably play a combo deck, I think that's where it comes into play. Like if your deck,
sorry,
I got
say, like, it's two separate issues. If you're getting too reliant on playing combo decks, then and that's usually what wild cards decks turn into, then yes, you are going to shoehorn yourself into only being able to play one play style, and it's really dangerous because then that combo gets nerfed because that's what happens to combo decks. Mm-hmm. And you've got nothing to fall back on. So you need to look at improving your own mechanics. So if you're wildcarding cards like Plasma Marines or whatever, and you understand the mechanics of Plasma Marines even better because you're doing it, I guess it's okay to play wild cards in that sense.
I don't think they hold you back, but but yeah, as you said, like I have some specific examples. Like a triple Blood Imps deck will not make you better at the game. But you can get better at a triple Blood Imps deck, and you can learn, like you can take a good player and then go back and play that. But if that's what you're reliant on, you won't get better. But that's a deck that actually does have a different set of skills that it requires. And like I've been messing around with a version that I made on that, where I don't think like those decks actually have a skill component to them. But I think a lot of players get used to playing it the easy way. But like the bats is all. You didn't have to play that with wild cards, but that deck also didn't get you better at the game. I'd say a really key way to learn game is actually just play draft a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say that if you play a wildcard deck, the only deck if you play three of the same card that I would say, oh, this can get you better at the game is any of the Crystal Elves cards, like Sentry or Canist or Archers, because it teaches you how to conserve your mana because of the mana surge mechanic. And that's really important when you're a new player, because as a new player, I had this mistake myself that I was spamming cards. I wasn't conserving my mana. And whenever I needed mana to defend myself, then I would lose because I didn't have anything to play.
Mm-hmm.
And the Crystal Archers will teach you this. It will tell you to conserve your mana and always have 6+. In this way, you would win. The deck isn't as good as it used to be because the Archers got a range nerf, but it's still really good. And I agree with Westlin. The best way to get better for me is draft.
And I'm going to point out some decks on the leaderboard real quick. So I'm going to go to an actual capture of the game here. I have a few decks that are on the leaderboard that probably show off the point that we're making about what decks can make you better at the game. So, and which ones can do wild cards and still be a good way to do that. My screen capture is being silly. Hold on 1 second, guys. So one of them is Cat has a deck on the leaderboard that's actually going to be a good example.
While you get the deck, Damian is saying that it feels like it's impossible to beat Morelia's perk 3, and I agree. If you don't have a specific deck that will help you beat it, you won't be able to, and that happens with a lot of different combos. If you don't have any specific card that can help you beat the combo, you will not be able to beat it.
Yes.
Yeah, this is one of the places where you have to work around the meta. You have two options, and you pick which of the two options you like better. Your one option is either kill the dragon, or your other option is win before the dragon comes out. I
Mm-hmm.
like the option of win before the dragon comes out, and so I'm usually winning the game around perk 2. And the other option, if you want to kill the dragon, is bring cards that can kill the dragon, like Demon Warrior, Curse Bearer, or Sniper Squad does actually really well if you can keep it alive. Things
Um,
like that.
and I'm going to point out, I hate calling out players, so I'm not going to call it the player. I'm going to call it this deck here. Number 9 on the leaderboard has a issue with triple tantrum throwers, and as the combo for an empowered soul stealer, or to activate it, plus a lone wolf. So normally,
Plus Morelia.
plus Morelia. So the problem here with this deck is why this isn't teaching you much. Is it's not teaching you to control your cycle with your Empowered Soul Stealer. So if you can actually play Empowered Soul Stealer and get better at the game and get better at using this card, but of course in like the tournament scene, this is almost too easy when you guarantee an activator is always in hand. You don't have to plan it out. Somebody counters it. You have an extra set of cards to get another Empowered Soul Stealer. That one's not going to get you all that much better. But here, a really good player, Orpheus and ZR. I guess Orpheus. He's number 5 on the leaderboard right now. He's wildcarding Dragon Whelps. This is a great example of a card that has a lot of mechanics, and learning the Dragon Whelp mechanics. He's also wildcarding Scrap Pack. These are
Yeah.
generally strong cards that will get you better at the game if you utilize them, and that skills translate to a lot of cards. But actually, one of the things you'll notice is a lot of the leaderboard players are made up of competitive or KPC players, and they just tend to shy away from using wild cards. I think personally, I do it because I'm testing decks at all times, and it's what I've gotten used to. So I just don't play with them. Like I just don't even think like it doesn't even cross my mind to add a second copy of a Dragon Whelp or something anymore.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it happened when I used to play wildcards a lot, and whenever I started playing in tournaments, then I felt like, okay, I just considered the decks to be better or more fun, more challenging without wildcards. So I started playing without wildcards completely, and it just opened a new spectrum of like skill cap.
And so it's not necessarily the wild cards that give you, or like that, or playing wild cards won't make you worse at the game. But you have to realize when you're playing a combo deck, you're not improving other skills in the game. Because you just don't have to rely on them anymore. Because the decks usually pilot themselves. And I think you could see something like that in most card games where certain decks are easier to play than others. Players who play control decks and certain aggro decks usually are going to improve their skills more than a combo deck in a card game as well.
Yeah.
I think this brings us to our next subject since we've been talking about the leaderboard. I think are you guys in game right now?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So we were going to talk about, briefly talk about a deck that we've brought to the leaderboard, or to ladder, that we've been able to pilot and found some success with. So first off, I'm going to just type slash the deck so these guys can see it. So this is a King Puff deck I've been playing. I built this deck for ladder, and a few key components of this deck is the Ghost in King Puff. I've been using Ghost as a way to deal with Morelias, so I've been stealing their dragons every time. And I think Ghost is a great tech in the current meta. If you want to make your Ghost safer, play Bannerman with it. And also play Divine Warrior. Ghost with Bannerman and Divine Warrior will basically guarantee you can take any card you want. And right now, people aren't protecting stuff from Ghost very effectively. So I think most games I've been able to steal the card I want. As well as Bridge Swap with Ghost is really useful because you can swap away from spells if you cap on the bridge. You can stun a unit behind that's going to be targeting what you do. King Puff allows these kind of tricks to work really well. Like King Puff is really good with Scrat Launcher. I have another deck for Scrat Launcher. I'll show it another day. The other tools of this is pretty standard King Puff. Drone buzzers should go in every King Puff deck. Spear throwers should go in every King Puff deck. I've actually made this one fit the rules of the current tournament, so I decided not to play Fire Amp, Scrap Tank, or Divine Warrior. And I've actually found this deck just as effective. I may like it better than the versions that use those because the Sniper Squad is really fun. I probably would swap the Whirly Scrat in this deck for Divine Warrior, but I like the Propeller Horde. I like the constant bridge grab between having Spear Throwers and Morgul to split. I don't even have Flightless Dragons in this deck, actually.
Wow, that's ballsy in a King Puff.
Yeah, I actually like this version a lot. The Flightless Dragons were too squishy, and I like the Spear Thrower's ability to get anti-air, and I like the Morgul's ability to just clear something quicker, or like an instant burst. And Morgul splits a little bit faster for bridge grab, and since I wasn't running the Divine Warrior, I felt less reason to play Flightless Dragons. But this deck protects the snipers pretty well, and snipers are one of the strongest tools in the game. So I think you guys both have decks. Let's go to Andy's next.
Yep. You want me to just paste it to you in the Discord call?
Just type /deck in chat, and I'll pull it up that way.
Okay. There it is.
All right. So here we got a Ravager list, and I guess you could explain this one and why you're using it.
Oh, it's actually a Diona list.
Oh.
Just didn't switch.
Oh, okay.
So that's Diona there. This is just an aggressive little Diona deck that relies around pressuring your opponent with either Dragon Pack and Taunt Totem, or Shield Guard and Crossbow Trap. Whichever of the two traps you have, the Taunt Trap or the Crossbow Trap, you play around it. And it has a lot of bridge grab potential. And you bring Black Holes so that you can keep your Dragon Pack alive away from fireballs. That Dragon Pack will melt your opponent down from 3,000 to 1,000 in one push if they aren't ready for it, and a lot of times they're not ready for it if it's on ladder.
Mm-hmm.
It's more ideal in ladder than it is in tournament play, but it is viable in tournament play. I did bring it to KPI and had a decent win rate with it.
Mm-hmm. I want to comment a few things about this deck. It's actually a really fast cycle.
Yeah.
With 3 1 costs, the only spell being a Black Hole, which is obvious. I think is an obvious include once you see the style of deck that you're playing. You're putting those high costs that are vulnerable to spells. And then the Crossbow Dudes is pretty interesting, and actually I think the Scrat Horde is pretty interesting here. Is using the Swarm for your DPS, where a lot of people would probably do Flightless Dragons.
Yeah, I intentionally went low cost. In my opinion, if you're running 2 7 costs like I am, 2 7 costs, and it's not a Mordor deck, you've got to bend back down that mana average. It's a 3.1 is what this deck is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fun deck to play. It's really fun. It's tournament viable. Like I said, you win games pretty fast. This is very viable against the Morelia meta if you're trying to get your win before they get their third perk. It doesn't do as well as at killing the dragon because she can just one-shot your whole Dragon Pack unless you can finagle some things to get it to happen. But it is very good at winning games before third perk if you're looking for a deck that will get you through this meta.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's time to look at Jules's deck.
All right, I'll just drop it in chat.
All
it
right.
looks kind of weird and trolly, but there's reasons.
All right. Run us through this.
So it's pretty much a basic Balco deck with all common cards but a Gax. And the reason behind the Gax is there's a lot of Morelias out there, and it's quite of a high skill cap because I'm trying to count when the book is going to come out, and then I'm going to play Gax to stop the spirits from getting to the minions. Most of the times they will, but even if they will, it will just remove the hell from the minions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty much to get rid of Soul Stealers with plus 200 HP, and then having it a lot easier to deal with just the Dragon Whelp or spell combo. And being Valko, it's really good, as Andy said, to win before the third perk, or at least deal a good amount of damage.
I actually like the inclusion of Cleaver since we're seeing Lone Wolves again. Cleaver's
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to one-shot that card so it doesn't get the transformation. And just a quick reference for anybody who doesn't know, make sure that it takes 50 damage before you hit it with the Cleaver, otherwise it transforms.
Yep.
And usually that's what one Volko hit.
Yeah, 2 Volko hits and then the cleaver.
Oh yeah,
It
sorry,
gets
2
rid
Volko hits.
of the warrior without it getting a wolf.
And you can always use the visuals above the card. You have a little bit of leeway since it's at 175 health that it transforms. So between 300 and 175 health, you need to drop the Cleaver for the hit. So there's enough leeway that it's pretty hard to screw up. And I guess we're on to the last segment for today. If anybody in chat wants to take us on, we did a deck building challenge, and I guess I'm gonna post. I'll pull up mine. So the rules are we're doing Dragon Nest featured decks that's required to have. Oh well, fortunately there's 3 of us here, Deadshot. So you actually get to pick your partner from amongst us.
He's gonna pick the duck. I know it.
And I guess you two should post your deck in chat as well.
All right.
Okay.
And so this way Deadshot can see it on screen.
I
So-
posted mine.
So this is Jules, and he went with the Gorak Sacrifice transformations as well as another transformation. And we got Andy's deck, which is actually has the Crackle to lower
Yes,
cards
mine
cost.
is actually a Ravager deck this time. That is correct.
Yeah, this is an actual Ravager deck. And then you can see mine up here on screen, where I went with the Spirit Infusion onto the Once Bittens. So we will create a lobby. I'm assuming I'll invite Team Battle. You choose the duck. All right. So,
Oh boy.
oh no, it's doing the thing where. Hold on. We're gonna have Jules create the game. Actually,
Oh, all right.
because I am not able to do my Discord invites right now.
Oh. Okay.
And you can obviously invite Sunless through Discord that way. The Sunless is not a Steam friend of mine.
Wait, Sunless?
Oh, sorry, that's Deadshot. Sorry, why did I think Sunless was here? You guys did the same person.
Wow.
Wow, Westlin.
Okay.
Deadshot's not a Steam friend of mine either, so. Sunless, Deadshot, same thing. Alright. Alright, guys. Time to kick some butts. Oh, I should look at your deck, too. Ooh, so you went a little bit anti-meta. Interesting. Alright.
Okay.
Alright, we are ready to go.
Ready to go.
He better not have brought something to deal with my deck.
I don't think he
No.
did.
Nobody can answer my deck.
Alright.
It's just
My
Good
turn to
luck and
cap.
fun, boys.
Well, I hope you guys don't have fun. I hope this is a miserable
Well, you know what? I
experience
just
for you.
remembered something really
Wow.
important about how one of my cards works. Don't worry about it, guys. Don't worry about it. my deck just won't work.
Okay.
Deck just isn't
Yep.
gonna actually work because I just remembered something.
Yeah, I see why.
Yeah. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Ooh, that's a lucky roll.
Wow, look at that. No, that's not fair. That isn't fair.
Sunless is here in spirit, apparently, giving me RNG.
Moo.
Oh, he didn't target. Oh, thank you for the chakra.
I got 1 kill.
I have nothing to play. Stupid 6 spells. Well, I'll just trigger the Zhao. I don't mind.
Yeah, Deadshot decided to go for the anti you guys. Uh-oh. I did not gonna get the dagger fall off in time. No!
Okay. This isn't fair.
Have you guys ever played one of these decks on ladder in this style?
No.
It's pretty fun, actually.
No.
I was able to take down quite a few Morelias just with the peer pressure from this. Zune, you should check out the Reddit post and build a deck for the deck building challenge and come take us on. You'll get to pick your partner. We are doing Dragon Nest decks and requires 6 spells, and then there's a list of banned cards.
They're jumping to the top one. Oh no, they didn't.
Ah, I baited you.
Gotcha, baited. Can't believe it.
Oh, you're out of town? That's unfortunate.
Spirits? That's cheating.
It is cheating.
It's cheating and they love it.
Yeah. Moo. Okay, I can't really play Sacrifice because it's super risky, but
Yeah. I think we'll have to do a Zune inspired list at some point where we do
Fuck it.
all RNG.
no, you bitches.
No, he killed Ruffles. What a jerk.
Oh, you almost got another discount on the cleaver. Oh, that's such
Uh-oh.
a good lightning.
No, it's not.
Oh wait, what? Misclick.
That was a good use of that tombstone there, Deadshot. Well, thanks for the support,
Oh,
Zune.
that was good timing. Well, they only got one though.
And if you weren't here for the whole thing, I'll be posting this to Reddit. Or well, YouTube,
Oh,
sorry.
come on.
But I'll post it on Reddit if you need to see what our discussion was. We were talking about what it takes to become an elite player.
No, they have all the counters. Unfair.
My question is, can you put Lycanthropy on Ruffles? Not that it would do anything,
No,
but can it be?
I don't think so.
I wonder if it could
I
be
feel like
targeted.
you can.
Oh, they have Berkeley.
And
There
that
you
was
go.
game. All right. If we have any other challengers in chat, we'll take them on. Otherwise, I think we're done for the day. All right.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I think that was an RNG'd Spirit Mancer that they had there. Yeah, it was from his blind date. All right. Well, thanks for everyone who showed up. Anyone who didn't show up, we will be doing this every Sunday at 3 p.m. Central Time. I won't be here next week, but the show will go on with co-host Jules, and we'll see who our guest is next week, as we're still managing that. But it's hoping to see FFA show up on stream soon. He is one of the guys who created the King Puff Cup, so it'll be nice to hear from him when we finally get him on the show. And you guys have anything you want to say before we go?
Yeet.
Yeet.
Well, not much. I guess I had fun. Sorry, Andy, for throwing the game and
Whoops.
Raps the dead shot
Oh, I guess
for countering us.
one last thing I want to mention is tune in next Saturday to the King Puff Cup and watch some competitive play. Hopefully we see with a brand new format to the King Puff Cup. It was tested in some of these Prince Puff Cups. It'll be really fun to watch, and I will unfortunately miss it. And then next Sunday, there'll also be a discussion on what happened at that tournament. So thanks for showing up, everyone who did, and everyone who didn't. I hope you at least come by next time and at least enjoy the YouTube video. So thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.